Hi, and welcome to CVC Interviews. My name is Joyce Vaudreuil from Vernon. And as in other series of this type, we're here to talk about local things with local people. And we have some very interesting guests tonight that are going to tell us about an organization here in Connecticut. I have two guests here that are from an organization called UNICO. And I'd like to introduce, we have Peter Miller here, is the president of UNICO.
Correct.
And we have Jay Smith, who is in charge of a wonderful event coming up we're going to hear more about, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. That's great. So, Peter, what is UNICO?
Well, UNICO is an Italian heritage organization. It was actually founded in Waterbury, Connecticut in 1922 by Dr. Vastola. And what happened, there was a large Italian group in Waterbury, and Dr. Vastola, for some reason, was ostracized by all the other organizations and felt that they needed to have a service organization, so he founded it based on this premise. There are about 6,000 members nationwide. Most of them are on East Coast, West Coast. And their primary purpose, they're a 501c3, their primary purpose is to raise funds as a service organization to give it back to the community. And that's what Manchester chapter does. And we keep most of our funds, which is not all of our funds, local.
Excellent. So what are some of the charities or organizations that you help out with the funds you raise?
Well, in recent years, we've been giving money to Connecticut Children's Medical Center, to MARC, to MAC, Fidelco, to CAST.
Are you saying a lot of acronyms here, or people I just don't know?
Yeah, there are a lot of acronyms because so MAC is Manchester Area Conference of Churches.
Okay.
MARC is MARC Inc. It deals with children who have development issues. Fidelco is guide dogs. CAST is a summer program that actually educates kids on theater and theatrics and things of that nature. We give money to Cheney Hall, which is the little theater in Manchester, to support that organization. And we actually sponsor a play, which is a lot of fun, that we get to go to. And we did a commercial one year. So in between one act and the second act, we had a commercial there that was presented. It was kind of funny. And Jake, do you know?
Yeah, Big Brothers,
Yep.
Nutmeg, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Project Graduation for Manchester High School and East Catholic. So I think it's important to mention that we're, unlike some charities that have high admin costs, our admin costs are pretty close to zero.
That's difficult to get to. What do you attribute that to?
Well, we're all volunteers.
All volunteers.
And basically our objective is to obtain as many things as we can for free. It's a pretty simple process. I know when I was working, I always wanted to give back to the community, give back to the local charities, and this is a way for all of us to do it. It's a great organization. There's about 50 or 75 members.
In our chapter, there's
Just in this chapter in Manchester.
in our chapter there is 50.
Wow.
And then there's a district group of which Hartford has a chapter, Newington has a chapter, Weathersfield has a chapter. That makes up our district. And then there are others within the state, but we don't recognize them. So
Oh, okay. This is like the only one to focus
right.
on.
This is kind of like an
I
elite
see.
group, kind of.
Right.
I get it.
It's nice to know that every dollar that we earn goes back to charities. I think that's important. Not 50 cents, not 25 cents.
I remember that years ago when I used to donate to a huge organization, and I found out later that only 70 cents of every dollar was going to the
Absolutely.
organization. I was tarnished forever, and I always wanted to do my research on just because it's a 501c, you want to do your research. So to hear that, so you would probably not only need cash donations, but in-kind donations is a big thing with me. But in-kind donations are always helpful for meetings and organizations that, like printing costs and things like that, right?
Well, when we get involved in a golf tournament, that's kind of where that comes into play, because we'll be able to raffle things off most of the donations that we make to all those other organizations that I just mentioned are usually in cash. We do sponsor the Manchester Scholarship Foundation, so that's given to a senior to help his college education. But that, it's usually a cash transaction that we can. Not that we're into money laundering or anything of that nature, but kind of we're going in that direction to some extent.
Well, you can always do a lot more with a cash donation.
Yeah, sure.
Donation. How did you get started with the UNICO?
Well, I had a neighbor whose name was Nick DiPietro, and I said, Nick, this was like 20 years ago. I said, Nick, I'd like to give back to the community. Tell me what you do. He said, I belong to UNICO, and he said, why don't you come down to a meeting? We have meetings from September to June. They're monthly dinner meetings.
Oh.
Come down to a dinner meeting.
It's Italian. Of course, it's food.
It has to be
involved.
food, right? Exactly.
Once a month.
Good food.
A dinner meeting. Wait a minute, I'm stuck on this for a second here. But it's interesting. You meet just during kind of the cold winter months because people travel a lot in the summer.
Well, usually in the summer it's difficult to get people organized into that.
Yeah,
But most of the summer things, that's where most of our events are taking place
And
during
where are
the
these
summer.
dinners held?
Actually, we move them around to different
Oh, what a good idea.
different restaurants in the town of the ones that help us through donations or they've given us hamburgers and hot dogs for let's say for the event, or we do sausage and pepper grinders for the golf tournament. So those people who donate to us, we in turn will go back and frequent.
And you frequent them, and
facilities.
then you can talk more about it. It's
Correct.
all networking. It's all everybody helping everybody out. I like
It kind
that.
of completes the circle, so
It
to speak.
does.
Yeah,
It does. I just went to a fundraiser recently. I'm in education, and it was wonderful to see the community come out and give back. But then now I've discovered, oh, well, here's a restaurant I didn't know about. Now I know about another restaurant. Now I know about this cider place too. I want to try. So that's a great idea. I like that. That's like full circle. So I'm sorry. So he told you about the food.
Right.
Yeah, had me a little sidetracked there for a second.
So he said, come on down
Yep.
and see what happens and see what we're all about. And I started getting involved in different projects. And the golf tournament was one. We used to do a dance at one point that all the proceeds went to breast cancer. And that was in conjunction with the hospital. So there were a variety of different things that were going on that we participated in, and that's what kind of grabbed me. Eventually, I turned out to be the president. I like to tell people the reason.
He's president for life.
I like to tell people the reason I'm the president is because I'm the most Italian-looking guy that we have in the organization.
Yeah, you do carry your heritage well.
Yeah, no, really. Well, Miller and Smith, come on. We're scraping for a couple of vowels in here.
I know myself. I worked for Pfizer Inc. for 35 years.
Wow.
And I donated money. I was very busy. You work a lot of hours. You donate your 1.5% to charity and so forth and so on. But often I sat in my office and I said, geez, at some point in time, when I retire, I'd like to give back to the community. And this is an excellent way. I mean, I love golf. And our golf tournament is in its 38th year. And probably one of the longest running golf tournaments in Connecticut.
Wow.
And it has, people like it because the food is great. The golf is good.
And we're back to the food.
Right.
Kind of goes.
Right.
And we get to interact with the people that we donate to. I mean,
Yes.
a fair amount of our donations in previous years have gone to Connecticut Children's Medical Center. We have actually gone down there. We've had tours. We've been through the NICU. We sponsored an Angel Eye program in which it's a closed circuit system so that if you're a distant relative in a different state, you can actually, there must be some security system because I don't know how that functions, but you can actually get to see your child in the hospital.
Like a webcam type of service.
Exactly.
If it's a
Yeah.
preemie,
Or like
right? You could watch your baby all night long if you.
Or like a Skype system, very similar
Right.
to that.
Yeah, we're still dating ourselves with Skype. All right.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful, that's
So
a
we
great
get-
idea.
So we get to see
Yeah.
sort of the fruits of our labor, so to speak. I mean, and that is a catalyst to make you keep on going. And it challenges yourself to see if you can kind of better what you did or what you accomplished last year.
I kind of had more of an experience like yours where a percentage comes out of my check, and that's all well and good, but I don't, first of all, probably didn't have as much money as someone who worked at Pfizer for 35 years, but I just wanted to do things that were a personal interest,
Right.
and it touched me some way, and I have my little pet projects and programs I do, and even doing this, letting people know what's going on in their own community, good, bad, or indifferent, but I like to do the happy shows, like this one. So yeah, we all want to do a little something more, and that's what's great about it. People that are busy working and building their lives, well, we'll take your money. Come on, give us a call. Like us on Facebook, by the way, and by helping everybody, we all do something a little different. So I really get it that you like golf. What are some of the things that are your favorite things to do at UNICO?
So my favorite thing to do...
Besides telling him what to do.
Oh,
No, he doesn't tell me what to
Really?
do. I tell him what to do
Just so you know,
as far as golf goes.
the president is the guy with the mop and the bucket, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
It's a whole... I'm not looking down, I'm kind of looking up.
No, Peter is a great president. He's attention to detail. He's a fantastic person. He just does a great job. So, I mean, I joke with him all the time, but it's a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun.
He did a wonderful job bringing information and props here, and I want to make sure we talk more about some of the golf tournament. But what made you bring the sign of Italy besides being a wonderful prop? My family heritage, I have family outside of Naples in Castel de Narad, I believe it's pronounced. And what towns is your heritage from?
Well, my mom was from Sicily.
Down there.
I think this is a great prop because as people, what I've used this primarily for is to go to put up a display table and have people come by and they want to talk, and I like to talk about UNICO. This is an attention grabber.
It is.
Because everybody says, well, I'm from here. Or
We all did it. You brought that in and we all did it.
And that's what starts a conversation. It gets me, it's kind of like the hook, so to speak, so I can grab somebody's ear.
I love it.
What we're looking for, what I'm looking for, is because of our membership has kind of aged, we're looking for new members to keep that going. And we find that a young member to us is somebody in their late 40s. Because initially that person is, starts a family in the baseball, football, and all that other stuff.
Busy activities.
Busy
yeah,
activities,
yeah,
and by
yeah.
the time they kind of slow down,
But they want to do something.
they want to keep that energy level going, and it's into their late 40s by the time they come to us, and that's
Right.
the kind of person that we're looking for.
Well, I want to talk more about that, and we're going to talk more about some of the other organizations that you've worked with, and I do want to hear more details about the golf tournament.
Sure.
We're going to take a quick break for station identification, and we'll be back to learn more about UNICO and their programs and what kind of volunteer they're looking for. So please come back.
Here at Community Voice Channel in Bolton, we're always interested in what you have to say. Have an idea for a show you want to see on TV? We'll help you become a studio producer and learn the basics of camera work in our studio workshop and field workshop. From your own talk show to interview show to whatever you want to do, we're always interested in your ideas and will help you see them happen. Community Voice Channel, a place for your voice.
Hi, welcome back to CVC Interviews, and I'm here talking about UNICO and all the great things they do and some wonderful events they have coming up. Right before the break, we were talking about the different types of volunteers that you may need. What type of volunteers are you looking for and people to join the UNICO family?
Actually, about 15 years ago, finally, somebody at National woke up and said, you know what, we need to broaden our spectrum, and they open up the membership base to women. Prior to that, since 1922, women were not allowed in our organization. The women bring a breath of fresh air. It's a whole different perspective that women add to our organization. And I'm not saying that they're there to make the pasta or things of that nature, or to cater on to the rest of the organization. But they have different perspective as what they can see, and they have different networks. So that added to our organization. In our chapter, we have 7 or 8 ladies at this stage. There's only 50 of us. As I mentioned earlier, I was the president about 8 or 9 years ago, and during one of my initial meetings, I put a number on a piece of paper and I hung it up, and it stayed there during the whole meeting. And at the end, finally, somebody said, "What's that number about?" And I said, "That's the average age of our club," and the number was 64. Oh. So we're looking for new bodies. We have now our first lady who joined. She's 20. She can grab or entice or finesse ways to get to younger members to join.
Well, I'm sure she's tweeting and Instagramming and Facebooking. But electronic media, you guys have a wonderful web page. I encourage anyone who's interested. I found a plethora of information, not only about the organization, but your very interesting history and how Italian Americans are an integral part of everybody coming into this country. So that our immigrants that were coming in the late 1800s into the early 1900s. So it's very, very illustrious career coming in. And a lot of groups, I think, are struggling with how do you bring in new members. Part of the problem I've always had when I've been a part of a group is a lot of young people don't have a lot of time or don't have a lot of money. And so you're very chintzy with both. So you really got to bring them in. And enticing, I think, is a great word. I think people are very respectful of their ancestors, and they want to know more about their heritage. I mean, look at all of these 23andMe's and things who want people to know, oh, what is your heritage like? So what a great way to tap into that.
And that's one of the things that our chapter does, I think, does rather well, is that it's not just old business, new business, treasurer's report, secretary's report at our monthly meetings in addition to the food, but we do have speakers come in. We had a lady that came in October, talked about Christopher Columbus. We've had other groups that have come in. Trying to think of it escapes me, but it'll come back to me.
Fidelco came in.
Yep,
Fidelco
came in.
Oh.
So we have different speakers that. One of the other part of UNICO that I see is that we need to keep the heritage going. Yes. So in order to make that happen, we need to educate people. And we talk about the different things, the trials and tribulations of the immigrants that came over here, and how difficult it was. Because when we arrived, English was not something that was rather fluent. And they struggled with that. And that's why Dr. Vastola had some issues, because he struggled with that same situation. As a matter of fact, UNICO, as I mentioned earlier, started in Waterbury, Connecticut, and who would have thought that an Italian organization would have started in Waterbury, Connecticut?
Yeah. It's got a very interesting history. I encourage anyone to go onto your webpage. I read about how the whole organization has embraced the heritage, going back to dispelling the myths about Columbus Day celebration was only supposed to be for celebrating Italian Americans. No, it was meant to be originally to celebrate they called them Indians then, the Native Americans who were here and the immigrants coming in. So it was very fascinating. It was a very informative webpage. On it was also the golf tournament, and that sounds like an exciting event coming up.
Right.
I'm not even a golfer, but I love riding around little golf carts and trying to golf on these fundraisers. Right. So what can you tell me about what's coming up?
It's Manchester UNICO. It's our 38th golf tournament.
That's impressive.
Like we mentioned before, one of the longest ones in Connecticut. It's Monday, June 11th at Manchester Country Club. It's a beautiful club. I was a past president, so I have to, I would want to say that anyways. It's a great place.
How can we help you out with the tournament?
Well, what we really need are
donations.
sponsorships, T signs. We have various sponsorship levels for various donations. T signs are $100. We tried to maintain the cost the same over the last 10 or so years. It's $150 per golfer, $100 for a T sign, and there's various levels on the sponsorships. The day starts early, around 10:30 in the morning, with a sausage and pepper lunch, hamburgers on the golf course, cheeseburgers on the golf course.
See, we're back to food again.
we are.
Loving it. I'm loving it.
It's a great golf course we've done, and then a great dinner at nighttime. We've tried some different things. Last year we had a long drive person from the Golf Channel and he drove the ball 350 yards, and every group had to, could participate with him. This year we were considering a shotgun air gun to hit golf balls or blow golf balls out on the golf course, and we kind of shied away from that.
That's probably a good call.
We have in the works, right? Exactly.
Timing is everything,
Yeah, really.
We have in the works now a military surprise for this year, if we can pull it off, and that's similar to what they do on the PGA Tour. So that should be interesting.
Very nice.
But the food is great. One thing I might point out: two of our big sponsors that help us, Highland Park Market and Corey's Ketchup and Mustard and Pastrami on Rye. They provide us with a lot of food, and it's free of charge for us. So,
wow.
I mean, that it's substantial. They're always there for us. They never turn their back on us. And also, not only the golf tournament, but other functions like Cruising on Main and the band shell in Manchester Community College.
All right, let's not go too fast over that because those two events we briefly spoke about earlier. So I would love to hear more about the band shell, where you're going to we serve peppers and sausage again.
Sausage and peppers.
Sausage and
right.
peppers. So that's the one that's in July, correct?
Correct. It's going to be on, I think it's July 18th. It's a Wednesday. I could be wrong about the date, but
Yeah. Your webpage is great. So
have somebody call me and I'll square that away. But during the course of the summer, there's all different nationality events that happen at the band shell at
Manchester Community
Manchester
College.
Community College. We're the only organization that not only sponsors all the entertainment, but we also have food that we're selling at the same time. So we do ices and sandwiches, and it's another way of interacting with the community. It's another way of generating some funds to give back to our charities.
Excellent. It's a little reminiscent of those Italian festivals I went to in
Similar.
Boston's
Yes.
North End.
Correct.
It was like, what's it like? I don't know. There was just a lot of food carts there. It was like I ate my way through.
But
So
you're
you can
absolutely right.
combine
I mean,
music and food.
Yep.
That's a wonderful way to celebrate our heritage, isn't it?
is.
Getting back to the golf tournament, though,
sorry.
when no, that's okay. When Peter and I really got involved the last 10 years, the first year we made $8,000 for charity. Last year we made almost $32,000.
Wow.
So, and the
impressive.
It's a lot of sausage and peppers. just so you know.
Yeah, and ices.
Manchester UNICO, since inception, has given $850,000.
Our
charities.
chapter alone.
Just our
Just the Manchester chapter.
Right.
Wow.
Back to the community. Correct.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Right.
And
You
that's
all
what-
set with golf now?
I think so. You gonna play?
I might drive someone's golf cart. I'll be their designated driver.
Sure, we can always
we're looking
the
for
beverage
people,
cart.
We're looking
you can
for
drive
people
the
to do
beverage
that.
cart.
Absolutely.
The 50th anniversary we were talking about of that's just your chapter?
Correct. Yeah, our chapter started in 1967.
Wow, that's impressive. So you're doing something in April for that?
We're doing, it's April 28th, happens to be a Saturday night. It will be at the Manchester Country Club. We do have invitations that I'm happy to leave with you.
Yes, please.
And we're there to acknowledge our accomplishments. we don't tend to do that. Our slogan is service above self. So we're not out there beating the drums a lot about who we are and what accomplishments we made. But in this particular evening, we are taking a bow for what we've been able to put together.
There's still 2 charter members, too.
Out of the 31 initial
kidding.
members, we still have 2 that are very active in our club.
Wow.
It's amazing.
They're both in their mid
Yeah.
80s, but you know, we're blessed to have them. They're exceptions to the rule.
That's wonderful, and they're still involved. That's
Yeah,
great.
they are, absolutely.
That's great to hear. So the other event we were talking about was in June. That was the golf tournament, right?
Monday, June 11th.
Monday,
right.
June 11th. You guys have a lot of things, a lot of activities going on for the fundraisers. Do you have any particular group that you want to? I don't want to say target, but is a group that you want to help this year? Do you change the groups that you help, or is it always the same, kind of like the Children's Hospital?
Well, we have a foundation. It's a separate entity from the admin group that we have, and we have a grant form that's open to anyone that's a 501c3 that wants to apply to some of that money that we've raised. Those applications have to be sent to us by the end of each calendar year. They're reviewed in the first quarter and then distributed in the second quarter of each year.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it works. So Manchester Scholarship Foundation, for instance, we're a big supporter of theirs. And that money comes out of the golf tournament and gives back to those individuals. And the ones that we already mentioned are on that list. So that's how the system kind of works.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about the phone numbers. You wanted to give us your phone number?
Sure.
For the sponsors who want to help out with the tees or the signs.
Yeah.
How would they reach you guys?
My name, again, is Jay Smith. My home phone number is 860-432-8867. And Peter is also on the brochure.
Yeah, 860-649-0552. And if you're interested in joining, or you're interested in at least coming down and seeing what we're all about, give me a call. I'd love to have you.
When's the next monthly meeting you guys are having?
We have our monthly meetings. It's always on the second Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
So our next one will be April 11th. Give me a buzz, and if you're interested, the next one after that would be May 9th.
Okay.
You won't be disappointed.
We hold them at local restaurants.
Yeah, I love that idea of rotating the location. You guys, this has been a very interesting and really helpful for me. I love embracing my Italian and Irish, believe it or not, heritage.
Me too.
As an American citizen, I love being able to do that. So thank you for sharing that with us. I hope that you get all the sponsors that you need for the golfing tournament. My friend Diane and I, who's here, we're talking about joining, so you'll probably see us at the next meeting.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much for coming. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of CVC Interviews. If you would like more information about UNICO or even doing something here at CVC, please go to our web pages, like us on Facebook, and UNICO also has a very informative web page. Again, thank you.